and welcome back to another episode of Wine and Whispers. We are introducing ourselves one more time, so it's Nikita Helm-Fraser as your co-host, along with Miss
Denise Johnson as your other co-host.
Today's another great episode. We're going to kind of dive in to Imposter Syndrome. Not the chuckle.
I have to start the chuckle because I
It's
think
real.
I live in Imposter Syndrome right now.
Well, I think we all live in it.
Yeah.
As you take this step into your, leaving corporate and moving into this, we kind of live in it and move out. But let's uncork and unwind.
All right, so I did a little deep dive on the whole Imposter Syndrome thing.
Okay. Wait, before we deep dive into it, let's bust out with a definition for it.
Oh, that's what I was going to do.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My bad. Let me let Denise have her light. Go ahead, girl. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. So so part of my deep dive was I looked it up and I was like, okay, where everyone's using the word, the phrase, there's phrases everywhere, people are using them, but they're not understanding the context of it.
Absolutely.
So, by Webster's Dictionary
Ready?
definition, imposter syndrome, the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved. I'm going to let that sit for a second because there's more to it.
Marinate.
The persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills.
Did you say illegitimately or legitimately?
Legitimately.
Okay. That's a lot.
It also goes on to say, people suffering from imposter syndrome may be at an increased risk of anxiety.
Soon as I felt that increased risk, I knew where you were going with it, and I was like, ooh, it hits.
Yeah. So I'm a Kickstarter to you. When was the moment that you felt and or thought you were living in imposter syndrome?
So this happened to me in corporate America, where I was doing my job as an HR person, and I love HR. I don't know how I got to this point where I love it, but I do love it, and I continuously am educating myself on it. And I think I'm pretty damn good at it. I just want to say that.
Okay.
There was a point where I was working, and someone came up to me, one of my managers, and said that I wasn't hitting my goals and I wasn't being effective in my job. And I kind of just sat with that for a minute, and I was like, okay, I need some feedback on what you think I'm lacking and how I can be better at it. They said, we'll set up a one-on-one and we'll get together and we'll chat. The one-on-one never happened, right? As I reflected later on, this must have been like 2 weeks later, because now I was stewing in it and I couldn't just accept what was happening. So I was just stewing. I was like, I'm doing a lot more than my job description even says. So I should just be setting up interviews, walking candidates to the interview rooms and telling them thank you and goodbye. That's all I should have been doing, really.
Did that critique stem from an evaluation, or they just randomly told you?
It was random.
Okay.
It was very much random. And I feel like it must have came from a hiring manager or somebody within, I really think it was someone within my current team who didn't want to see me succeed. And I have an idea who it may have been, but I don't have proof, right?
Right.
That's what I believe. But as I sat and I reflected on what I was actually doing, I was doing a lot more than those three things, because my direct manager, who was leading the troop for me, like coaching me, mentoring me, all those things, I was actually calling candidates to do the initial HR screen. I was working on offer letters. I was doing comp analysis. I was doing all of these other things.
So what specifically fell in your wheelhouse?
Scheduling interviews, walking candidates to the interview rooms, welcoming when they came into our building, and then having them go home and collecting feedback. That was it. Those 5 things.
Right.
So comp analysis definitely was not part of not part of my to-do list and my responsibilities, but I was doing it because my direct manager felt that I was competent and that I knew what I was talking about. I was personable. I was able to talk to all of the candidates. I was able to figure out candidates who were just playing the game, right? And they probably had another offer and was just trying to get us to give them another offer, a higher number to either work the system or to just walk away with an extra 20 grand in their pocket.
Was it one of those things where, like, you know how like one hand doesn't talk to the other? So maybe that manager was grooming you to prepare you for the next level up, but the other managers were unaware of it, and so they were like, "Well, what are you doing with this person, and why are they not?" I don't know. Like, do you mean what I do? You get what I'm trying to say? Like,
I do.
Or is it one of those things where it's the culture, which we know it can happen? The culture of the workplace is, yeah, this is what your job description is, but the things that I'm asking you to do that are beyond the scope of your job and what your responsibilities are fall under other duties as assigned.
So I definitely don't think it was a lack of communication between managers.
Okay.
And was reassigned to do other things within the business.
How convenient.
How convenient. So ultimately it wasn't what was supposed to happen, right? Mm-hmm. I kind of think that maybe he had it out for that specific team that I was working on sometimes, because I ended up leaving, my other manager ended up leaving, a few other people ended up leaving. So I kind of feel like that was part of the thing too. He was trying to make us quit almost and like push us out.
Right.
So he was just finding things to complain about. It had me really doubting that I didn't know how to do my job. And it's one of those where I'm like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, I know my job. And I know my job.
Not in a cocky way, but I know my shit.
Right. Like, if someone comes talk to me about HR to this day, I know what I'm talking about. Right. Whether it's leave of absences, it's recruiting, it's comp analysis, it's attrition. Like, I can talk to you about any of those items.
Right.
And if I don't know it, it's one of those, let's talk about it in the 5 minutes. Give me a quick look to look up the law because I know I've seen something. I just need to confirm it.
Right.
So it was, and this happened like 10 years ago, I feel like.
Oh, wow.
And I was young in the game.
Oh, so they were trying to use everything. Listen.
It was bad.
Ageism.
It's a thing.
Sexism. And people think ageism and they automatically think ageism is for those who were past a certain age above like 45, 50.
No.
Which is a freaking lie. Sexism.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one.
There's a few of them.
But I'm thinking workplace. Those two are very
those are the big ones.
Prominent, right? Well, when I say sexism, I don't mean sexual. I mean
male, female.
Right, genderism. Because I know some people are very like particular. It's not your sex, it's your gender.
Yes. Okay.
I'm sorry if I offended anybody. Genderism.
Yes.
Yes. Those are two prominent things that take place, and I feel like colorism.
Oh, yes. Ooh.
I feel like those three are the most prominent things that happen specifically, and we're going to deep dive on this in another episode, being Black and navigating corporate America.
Oh, it's so hard.
Right? And I'm not talking about no DEI, EDI. You know, I heard someone else, employer, said it was EDI.
That's not it.
Right. But they wanted to switch up the acronyms for people to feel, whatever. Anyway, DEI. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you sitting there, you're producing the work.
Yes.
You're young, you're bright.
Yes.
Intelligent. You got the degrees to back up what you know. You know what I mean? And you're Black. Or woman of color, person of color.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And these are the things that they're seeing. And it was like, how dare they be performing and excelling at this capacity?
Yes.
Let me knock them down so this way they don't get too big with their britches.
Mm-hmm. And coming into the game, new into it, right? You don't know how to navigate and to use your words always to prove and have that backup and the proof and the data to support what you know you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also intimidating talking to your big boss like that when you're not used to talking to a big boss like that, especially if you're coming from a West Indian household sometimes where talking back wasn't always acceptable.
How dare you?
Right.
Have an opinion.
Yeah, that part. So talking back at that point for me, starting into this game wasn't even a thought in my mind or a possibility for me. It was one of those where I'm just like, oh shoot, am I failing? Am I doing wrong? What can I do better? Shit. It was a very scary time for me, thinking that I was going to get fired. Like, in my brain, I was going to get fired.
So how'd you navigate that?
So I had to talk about it. So thankfully, my direct manager was also a female. She was a person of color. We were navigating, she was really navigating this world of being in white America, right?
Right.
And so she sat and she talked to me, and she was just like, I understand what you're feeling, and you have very valid thoughts, and you have very valid concerns, but you wouldn't have gotten this job if you didn't know your shit.
Right.
And she continued to say, I wouldn't be mentoring you if you didn't know your shit.
Right.
I gave you a lot of stuff on your plate that I would have never given another coordinator who was underneath me, but you've shown up within the past 3 months. I showed up and showed out and was already taking on new responsibilities.
Yeah.
So there's no reason that you should feel this way. I understand why you feel this way, but this isn't it for you.
That's good. I mean, I'm glad that you had someone like that.
Thankfully, it did get better for me for that time, and I realized that I do know what I'm talking about. And I was able, that kind of like rocketed me further down my career when people continuously started to attack me in different areas or corporate America, different jobs, saying that I don't know what I'm doing. And I kind of was able to flash back to those times.
Block this.
Yes.
Block that.
I was like,
no, not happening.
No haters. Like, I know what I'm doing. I'm standing tall and I'm standing on all 10 toes, right? Like, don't come for me. I feel strong in this.
Okay. It was a lot. No, that was, I mean.
It still happens to this day, mind you. But
yeah, I've experienced imposter syndrome in a like. Ooh, look at me using big words.
Yes. Tell me.
In corporate, but I think because I've navigated a Caribbean household.
Yes.
Where I learned to like, okay, you know what? There's always going to be a critique. My Caribbean family critiques me all the time. I can brush that off, right? So I had that mentality in corporate where it bothered me, but I didn't let it sit. I feel it more now, than I've ever before, and I think that's because there is a negative stigmatism that comes to people who work in the service industry, and the reason why I say that is because when I tell people that I am a nail technician, a professional licensed nail technician, it's almost like you wouldn't understand this conversation because you don't have the intellect. Oh, but that ain't it. That's not it. It's far from the truth.
It's very far from the truth.
And so I always feel like I have to over-decorate myself when I talk.
Okay, I get that.
To let them know, I'm not the one. I'm not the one. And you don't know what people's past is before you get to meet them where they are.
And don't assume that you know either, right? No one, knowing you, right? And we've had long, deep conversations.
Right.
You've gone through it with your education and continue to achieve, succeed, and push boundaries for yourself.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Why can't I need all women to just hype each other up, man?
Right? Okay. But yeah, so I feel like that's where I sit in terms of imposter syndrome, right?
Okay.
And the funny thing is, I get it more from my own than I do from white counterparts, Hispanic counterparts, or Asian counterparts.
That's so sad.
It's almost like and the question always starts, well, how long have you been doing nails?
Long enough to be licensed.
Right. So I always feel like I have to give this, and once they hear what the backstory is, it's like a shift in their eye, literally, physically, a shift in the eye as to like, oh, she knows her shit. Oh, she's smart. Oh, she's educated. And even if I didn't have that background and I was maybe, one of these talented young ladies who came straight out of high school into doing it, you cannot take away what experiences they had.
Right.
And to minimize it as of, well, because you didn't go through school or you didn't go through my experiences, you're uneducated or unable to navigate. Some of these women come straight out of school, get their experience, they get into these different sectors, and they're able to build a brand where they're making more than 6 figures.
Yeah, that part.
Right? High 6 figures.
Right, very much so.
Build a brand, an actual brand where people are purchasing things from them.
Yep.
Classes, programs, trainings, and building a whole business by having a brick and mortar. There's so
many options for them.
They have to go through the grit the same way you went through the grit to be able to get where they are. So do not diminish. I think there's a shift that's happening at this moment.
I agree.
But you still have those people who are looking at it as like, oh, it's like, because the idea is service provider and you're thinking the help. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They're thinking, oh, you're uneducated. This is all you can do.
But that's not what it is. Especially nowadays, everyone's path doesn't go down the college route. Right. Everyone's path doesn't go to a master's degree. It could be that your path is high school, vocational. You get a license and you think differently. So you're able to maximize your thoughts. To become successful.
And college isn't for everyone.
And college isn't for everybody. And I need people to understand that just because someone didn't go to college doesn't mean that they're lacking in things.
So a lot of these billionaires and trillionaires, I think there's trillionaires.
I think there are.
Right?
1 or 2. I'm going to be 3.
Right? If they're not, speak it, girl.
Yeah, she's going to be 4. Okay.
If they didn't have humble beginnings, they did not finish school.
No, a lot of
they found what worked for them and they maximized on it.
That's what it is. And looping this all back in, right? I'm pretty sure they went through the same struggles that we've gone through. People telling them,
you can't do it.
You can't do this. You're unable to be successful. You need a degree. You're going to have to go to college and take classes and do the 9-to-5 corporate white fence.
Right.
2.5 children and a dog.
Which is no longer available to anyone because
it's not attainable because the cost of living has gone up, but the salaries did not match. Okay.
That part.
So circling back, I'm going to ask you the same question that you asked me. And I understand that it's a different idea for you, but as you transitioned from corporate to being a nail tech, when was that first time as you started your career as a nail technician that you felt that imposter syndrome? Do you remember?
I can't remember the very first one, but I can remember one distinctly where I was building my clientele.
Okay.
And I met people who only knew the social media me.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
They only knew the social media me, which is the content that I produce in terms of my final product and what I do.
Yes.
And so the client came and she was like, oh my God, I've been following you. I'm so excited to sit in your chair. And that's always a good feeling to have, right? And they present to me their inspiration as what they want. I have made it very, very clear. Okay? I cannot do faces. Like, I cannot do facial features.
Okay.
If you ask me to draw on a piece of paper, and I do this to prep them, I'm laughing and I'm joking, but this is me telling them, don't set whatever expectations you're setting, don't do it.
Okay.
Right? But I do it in a way where it doesn't come off like I'm annoyed, or because I'm a little annoyed, but I can't be annoyed because, again, I sometimes forget where I started and where I am.
Okay.
Until I look back or get people like that who sit in my chair with an expectation of what they're going to get out of it.
Okay.
And so she presented me something and I was like, yeah, that's cute. I was like, I just want you to know that's an inspo. I don't do the same brush strokes at this person.
Okay.
I cannot do, oh, no, fine. I want you to put your spin on it. But okay. I just want your spin of this. Like, I really like it. So that made me feel a little bit better. But there are people who are like, you can't. And that's when it really sinks in. Or I've also done sets where midway through, I have one client, I love her dearly. And everyone knows her because they ask me questions about her hands all the time. And we were midway through. She was like, I really want you to do this. I was like, I don't know if I can do that. She's like, you can do it. You got it. People
got it.
People hype me up.
She's got it. And she's got it.
They hype me up so bad. Bad. But they hype me up. And we got midway through. I stopped. I looked at her. I was like, this ain't working, sis.
Oh, shit.
Because there was this expectations that sometimes you bring me something. And I put my flair on it. I can do it.
Of course.
And then other times I am real.
You be honest.
Right. And I know they may feel a little disappointed, but then I sit there and I second guess myself and I question myself. And I'm just like, damn, are they upset? damn, are they messed up? And then, you know, there's always that looking, but you can't read the face.
Mm-hmm.
So that's taking place as I'm telling her I can't do it. And it's like, okay, how upset are you?
Mm-hmm.
How not upset are you? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just, it's hard to navigate. It's hard to understand. But the realism in it
Mm-hmm.
is what gives me that, like, oh shit, I fucked up.
Oh shit.
Meanwhile, by the time I'm done with the service, it's like, oh my God, I love this. I say this all the time. This is the best set yet. And so it's like, it's a lot of pressure. And so I can understand where they say the increased anxiety, because I'm sitting there. They don't see it. I'm sweating bullets. And then it's until after, you know, finish taking the pictures. I was like, you know, you put me through the ringer on this one, right? Like, because I couldn't breathe.
Because I didn't know what I was doing. I'm working through it, and we gonna make it happen.
Right.
And you do make it happen.
Sometimes.
She does. Don't listen to her.
I have no problem erasing, you know, filing it off and restarting. I've done it like for a couple of sets. Because at the end of the day, and this is something I learned a long time ago, that's my name. That's my brand. That's who I am. You can't have it go out there not being true to who you are. Correct.
With all of your 100% effort into it.
Correct.
I get that.
Correct. Are there some people I let walk away where I didn't care what their nails looked like? Yeah, because they pissed me off in the service.
Oh shit.
But they know who they are because they never came back.
Oh shit, I didn't know this. Wait. What? I am done.
Yeah, I've had like 3 people. One person I had to cancel. That's a whole other story. You remember her?
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
But yes, I had maybe 2 or 3 people where, no ma'am. No ma'am.
Listen.
They nitpicked about everything to the T, to the point where I stopped talking. I shifted gears. My whole persona changed.
You became quiet.
I became quiet.
That's a bad sign, FYI.
If
also,
I become,
we're Aries. If we become quiet, it's a sign.
Right. But there's 2 types of quiet. There's quiet when my tongue's hanging out because I'm trying to get the line straight.
Not the tongue wag. Yes.
You know, you hold it inside. Sorry. And then there is quiet where
your face is still.
I'm just,
It's that quiet where your face is still. There's no emotion on your face.
Because I just need you out my chair.
Right.
You're making more of a fuss about something, and I'm letting you know, in my professional opinion, this is not going to work. This is not going to pan out. I can't do this. And you insist that I need to do it after I've already advised you that it's not going to work. I'm quiet. Because now you've got me to the point of
that part.
You're not hearing what I'm saying after I'm giving you the advice. I'm done.
You're not receiving the feedback that I'm giving you. You're not being open. You're not being listened. Now, this isn't a 2-way conversation between a client and our professional and a client, right? Now it's just the client forcing what they want upon you, which that's not how it works.
Yeah. So I sit in that imposter syndrome. That's where I am right now. So when I see, you know, new people come in and they say that, it's like, okay, what expectations do they have? So I joke around with them to lighten my I guess it's more so for me to lighten myself up. And I'm like, ooh, no pressure.
We got this.
You
have this. I just want you to know, and I don't know if this is going to help, but I just want her to know that you have this. I've seen your sets. I've been a part of the sets. I've been part of the creation of the sets that you didn't know what you was doing. And then at the end result, it was like, oh, damn, yes. Right? You live in this. I get it. But you also got this. You've definitely proven from when we started versus when we now that you've grown, you've become a skilled, you've become all those things that continue to grow and process, because nail technicians need to continue to grow because the styles continue to grow, right? So what you did back then may not be what you did now because the trends are different.
Yeah.
You also need to give yourself grace with that too, because trends do change.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciate you and all that you do.
Thank you. So sidebar. I don't do well with compliments. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but thank you.
But that's also a sign of imposter syndrome.
It is.
It is.
Huh.
So as I was doing some research, let me get it real quick. Okay. As I was doing some research on imposter syndrome, I realized that there are a few signs.
Not the lean.
I have to get into it.
Oh, I had my glasses.
I had my glasses.
Yeah. Oh, hey there. Let me turn them on so I can see too.
Oh, my contacts are in. I got it sometimes. So some of the signs of imposter syndrome include not being able to accept compliments or difficulty accepting compliments. You suffer with self-doubt.
Yes.
Fear of failure. You sabotage your own success.
Yes.
Do you know how that one's hard hitting?
Yeah.
For me, for sabotaging my own success, when I was little, I told my mom that I was going to have a dance studio. I swore it.
So you saw it. You knew it was written in the stars.
I swore it up and down I was going to have a dance studio, right? And then she told me it's not, because she comes from the background, the OG, got to go to school,
right,
get a degree, go into business.
Doctor, lawyer, nurse, engineer.
It definitely wasn't going to be a nurse. I hate blood.
Oh, yeah.
So it was one of those where, like, it's not an achievable goal because it's not a real career.
That sounds like my mother. And better now. Because absolutely. They understand the world is different. My mother, yes. It compliments, oh my God, I'm so proud of you.
Mine does too.
And that's not something that, comes from especially the OG Caribbean household. Yeah. They're not telling you, I'm proud of you, I love you. They show it through, you have a roof over your head, you have clothes on your back, you have food in your mouth. It's not to say it's wrong, it's what they knew.
Right. Or they bring you good, like, it's definitely one of those things where, like, I'll get a call, do you need X, Y, and Z? Oh, I would love some. And they bring it to my house, right?
Right.
That's a sign of love, and I understand and I respect that. But so, again, I never thought it was going to be here. My mom told me that it wasn't a real career. So in my brain, I stopped. So I stopped achieving the school. I said that it wasn't a thing.
Wow.
I continued to dance, and I still love to dance. But in my mind, I already knew that I was too short to be a rockette. I already knew that I didn't have a body type of a regular ballerina dancer because I had a butt. I still have a butt. I'm curvy.
Booty, 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 booty.
Rocking everywhere. Rocking everywhere. I said rocking everywhere. So all of these things were going against me as a professional dancer, and none of them had a me.
Huh. I mean,
that's so sad.
Interesting.
It's different now, and I'm very appreciative that it's different now. But back then, it was not a thing.
Which is sad because it wasn't really.
It's not long ago,
right? It really wasn't back then. When we say back then, I think in my mind, I'm thinking back then. I'm thinking 50s, 60s. Where we were just trying to be respected as a people, and we're talking about at a time where people of color were kind of accepted, kind of assimilated, thriving. Yeah. So it's just like, what do you mean?
Yeah, the dance world didn't catch up yet.
We're still I think up. A lot of part of the world still hasn't caught up yet.
I think everyone's still catching up. So self-sabotage of success, right? And then another one that kind of really hit me is this setting challenging goals for yourself that isn't fully attainable. So you're setting this big goal that you want to reach, but you have to do these small goals first, and you're not writing down your small goals first to hit your big goal. You just think, I'm going to go from A to Z without meeting those letters in between.
Yeah. You have to be realistic and practical about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So these are all signs of being the imposter syndrome and living in it day to day, and we're doing it, right? All of those things hit hard. That self-doubt one hits hard too.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. When I'm sitting in my brain, I'm like, I gotta choreograph a dance. Can I choreograph this dance? Of course I can.
Of course.
But I doubt it. Like it's one of those where I'm like, I don't know if I can. Am I giving the kids the things that they need? I am, because I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this long enough that I know what I'm doing. I'm still educating myself, right? I can do it. I gotta believe it in myself. I gotta stop. It's one of those where like those affirmations really come and help. You've got this.
Yeah.
You know you've got it. Look what you've done. Look at the work that you've put in.
So I'm gonna ask you how you work through it, and then I'm gonna give you some suggestions in terms of how to fix imposter syndrome. So Go ahead, tell me how you work through navigate your self-doubt.
So it's one of those where I talk it out with a peer who is either living the same world as me or can relate to the self-doubt that I'm going through. And I talk it out. I definitely will write it out, and I will make sure that I'm writing down and looking back at the things that I know that I've done in the past, the education that I've given myself to be able to stand here in front of kids and teach or to choreograph. And then if all else fails, I look back at my old choreo from 10 years ago where I didn't know what I was doing, because 10 years ago, I think I was still new in the game of choreo. 10-ish years ago. I'm not going to age myself. I was new into choreo.
Black don't crack, boo.
That's right.
Black don't crack.
Yes. So I was new into it, right? I was just coming off of being part of a smaller company. I was coming off of being a hardcore dancer where I wasn't choreographing as much, but I understood visually what needed to be happening, what needed to happen.
Right.
So I look back on those things now where I'm like, ooh, I could have done this better and I could have done that better. And talking myself through that choreo and how I could have done better, I sit and realize, oh, I am growing. I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to be doing, but that's what I did.
Okay. All right. And I would say for me, before I go into what is suggested, for me, I think I unknowingly created the habit of joking around with the client to eat. It's more to ease my anxiety than it is to ease theirs. Like I had this past weekend, I had 3 new clients. Beautiful, lovely souls. I love it, right? And the very last one, the very last one, she was like, the booking site didn't really give much of what you did, so I went to your Instagram. I'm like, you had to have Instagram. She was like, oh, this is where the real stuff is. And so she was really, really excited. And so I told her, I was like, nope. I was like, no pressure. I said, and she showed me what she was. I said, listen, it's not going to be exact. She goes, no. I want you to put your own spin on it. And so what I do is I'll do checkpoints, right?
Yes.
And say, hey, if I draw a line or whatever it is that's part of the inspo, hey, take a look at it before you put it in the light and let me know how you feel about it. If you don't like it, we can start over. Yes. So this way they understand, one, I'm flexible, I'm human, I am going to mess up.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what helps me recenter to remember, like, it's not just the hype, but I want them to have the experience. And if you really do a deep dive, and I don't say it in a conceited way, but that recenters me, right? Seeing when people say she really takes the time to explain things, she really takes the time to make sure you're comfortable. Yes. It's because I'm giving you the experience that I would want if I was sitting across from me. Yes. So that's how I manage imposter syndrome in that moment with people who have expectations of me from just the social media, right? So suggestions on how to fix imposter syndrome. Excuse me. Don't die. Get it together. I'm here.
That's a sign we should take a sip. Clink, clink. Oh, I like this.
Yeah, this is better than the red one. The rosé is better. Okay, you're welcome. Be aware of how you're feeling. So we automatically that feeling of like, what's going on? Anxiety. You're not saying it out loud, but you're feeling it internally, right?
You feel the clenching,
right? Like tightness. Be kind, give yourself credit, and take stock of your true talents.
Yes, look back, realize.
Acknowledge the societal impact that influences this feeling. Okay. That is a little bit hard for me in terms of the impact. But when I read the reviews, it's like, okay, there is a societal impact there.
Yes.
In the moment, I can't feel it though.
In the moment, you're focused on those nails.
Yeah. Ask for help. That's where I joke.
That's also hard.
No.
For me, it's hard.
Yes, it is.
Don't you felt that shade?
Yes, it is.
I felt that shade. Don't do it.
Where are my sunglasses?
I need sunglasses to block it out.
They're shade because
it's hard. I'm mad at that.
Yeah, I am too. It's okay.
Okay.
No, it's coming from a place of love.
I know it is. We'll be better. I may not. She'll be better. I'm gonna try.
And then the last one, take a break when the pressure is high and be curious about how you're feeling.
So that's an interesting one. Is that the last one before I continue?
Yeah, that was for fixing it.
So how do you take a break in our situations, right? In everyone else's situation is different, but in our situations, as you're feeling that imposter syndrome, you're probably with a client. I'm probably standing in front of a class. I can't just leave a classroom full of children. You can't just leave a client mid-set.
Well, it's saying to clarify, identify your imposter syndrome, know your triggers and traps, and then change your narrative.
Okay. Oh, I don't know if I know my triggers or traps. I think I just feel it in the moment. So I think that's something that I need to continue to work on.
To take stock of
it. Because I know when it happens, but I can't tell you, if I look back all that time, I can't tell you how many times it's happened, or if it's always during this class, or if it's always with these sets of parents versus that sets of parents, or if it's always when I'm talking to this teacher, I don't know those specifics.
Would it be something similar? Right. Would it be something similar to, like, I know and this is just me going off of a hunch,
Mm-hmm.
you are invited to participate because the performance team has to come and do
We go
things,
places,
right? And it's almost like well, we were hoping we got something that fit into the theme of whatever, and they only give you 2 weeks. That would be a trigger, no? Because it's like now I have to. You think I can just make something up in 2 weeks and then they're going to be ready to go and it'll be clean for them to perform?
So I don't know if that's a trigger. I feel like
there's anxiety definitely associated with it.
There's anxiety associated with it, but I don't know if that's going to fall into me feeling like I can't do it or we can't accomplish it, because I know we can because I've seen them do it.
Okay.
It's one of those anxiety of, do I have something in my back knowledge over here, my reservoirs that I can pull out real quick. It's one of those versus I can't do it. Yeah, I gotta take stock on this one.
Okay.
Now I'm intrigued.
Okay. Because for me, it's
you know what it is.
I know what it is because they say it, and it's like,
give me the side eye real quick.
Right. The second type that I almost forgot to mention is I've worked along some people who their work is phenomenal, and then here I am, and they want to learn from me.
Because you're phenomenal. Yay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Again, working on it.
Process.
Like the first salon I was at before whatever happened, right? I looked, you do your research of who you're going to work with.
Of course, have to.
It was like, okay, this is great work, but do you want to learn more? That person was not interested in learning more other than what they had.
Oh,
right?
No, I need everyone to grow.
Right. And then it was like, oh, well, you're able to do that in less time than I can. Oh, I'm just going to send all the clients to you.
No. I didn't ask for all this extra work. I mean, I do because I want money, but no.
Right. The second location that I was in space with, I did a deep dive and checked that person's work out. And this person was really talented at doing 3D things.
Oh, cool.
And soon later, it was almost like, well, how are you? And maybe I'm making this up in my head because I never had the conversation with this person.
Okay.
How are you advancing faster than I am? And building clientele and building social media presence. And it took me longer because I was in the... And you have to understand, I came in at the best time. Not my fault. The best time was pandemic. Everyone was on social media. Everyone was looking for something. Living on it, living, breathing it. And so everyone was easier to build that community by just putting stuff out every day.
Because we were living on it.
Right?
We couldn't go nowhere.
Right? Versus someone who's been in the game for some time where they literally were foot to pavement.
Yeah. It's harder.
It is harder. And I get it. And I'm not discrediting because definitely you built it up. Correct. But it's almost like, well, how dare you? That's what I felt. Again, never sat down and have the conversation with this person.
It's just a feeling that you have, right? It could be your narrative and your point of view of what you're receiving, it could be completely opposite of the point of view that they're sending towards you. It could be that they're trying to hype you up in their own way.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel that way.
Yes. And
then currently, I've been touching base with this person for maybe like 2 years, and then finally got to meet the person. And I don't know, again, on social media, big personality, come to find out, down to earth.
Isn't that amazing?
Mad chill. Best environment so far that I have been in.
So chill.
Right?
Yes.
And so it's like sometimes
you have to meet them in person.
Yeah.
And you have to pick up on those vibes because our social media presence and who we are on social media is not who I am in real life.
Right. It makes a big difference. And so here I am looking at all the work this person's done as well.
Love that.
And the history of this person being able, to work in spaces that put them with good networks.
Yes.
And I'm just like, can I meet the expectations? Meanwhile, they're looking at me like, hey, do my nails for me. Not in a bad way. And it's like
you want you do, so do my nails.
Right. And I'm like, wait, you want me to touch your hands? Can you touch mine? She's going to choke up and laugh at herself when she hears this.
I'm choking up and laughing at this.
But it's true. I was definitely intimidated and scared. So for the first month, I didn't know what to expect. And then as time went on, it was just like, oh my God.
We're so chill. And
she's human like me.
Yes. And it's a non-toxic environment, and we're just enjoying life together, doing nails.
Yeah, I love it.
Building clients.
So yeah, imposter syndrome is real, people.
So as I touch on this, I want to make sure that everyone understands that it's not just us little people that are also going through this. I was reading an article, and I'm going to name some names that maybe you know or don't know. Emma Watson, Tina Fey,
Really?
Kate Winslet, and this is the big name that really hit me, Meryl Streep.
Huh.
They've all talked about it in previous interviews or magazine articles, things of that nature, where they said that they've either been experiencing imposter syndrome or they experience self doubt.
Wow.
And again, I just those names.
Right.
Emma Watson,
Yeah.
Tina Fey, Kate Winslet, Meryl Streep.
Who had listen? And I just watched Death Becomes Her the other day.
Oh my goodness.
I love that movie.
I love anything with Meryl Streep in it. Okay.
What?
So
really,
it's not just us. And I want to make sure everyone's fully aware of that. It's not just us that is suffering through this, us little people that are living our day-to-day lives with paycheck to paycheck or salary to salary, whatever it may be, right? It's out there for everybody.
Yeah.
We're all going through this feeling, and we have to go through what Denise said, realizing what's triggering you, being able to motivate yourself, talk about it, and being honest and taking a step back when it does happen.
Yeah. Take a breather. If you're in a social setting, just say, hey, you know what? Excuse me. Take a moment and say, okay. And you just maybe need to revisit, okay, what have I done that these people feel that I am this person that they are seeing?
Right.
And remind yourself, I am the shit.
I am the shit. Yes. Can we do that together?
I am the shit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay to be confident. It's a whole nother thing when you're cocky.
Two different things.
So live in your confidence, live in your truth.
And know it. Don't take a minute when you need a minute. But like you said, live in it, stand on your 10 toes. You've got this. Whatever it is that you're doing, you've got it. Well, this was a good one. I like this one.
I like this one too.
This was a hard one.
It was
really
a little vulnerability.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure, and you know what? And it's not just limited to us, kids too. I recognize it and see it with my daughter, and I try to de-escalate and talk her through it. Mm-hmm. So just know that it's not only at at an adult level where imposter syndrome lives. What movie is that? Inside Out 2.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
That is a perfect example of imposter syndrome at a child's level.
Okay.
And it was a great movie that I was able to see with my eldest, where she was like, "That's me."
Oh,
she recognized the triggers and the situations and the scenarios, and she was like, "That's me. I completely understand that and get it." So
she had that safe space to talk about it with you too, which I appreciate. Even as a child or an adult, we all need those safe spaces to be able to be vulnerable and to talk about how you're feeling without feeling like you're going to get judged or misguided at the end of the day.
Yeah. So talk about it. If you're not already seeking some sort of assistance or guidance through a third party psychologist, psychiatrist, counselor, there's different levels.
Yes.
Find a community, church, something, anything. But don't hold it in.
No, holding it in is where it gets a little dicey.
Yeah.
Definitely find that place where you can be honest.
Girl talk. Or if you'd like, you can reach out to us also. Send us what you're thinking, your thoughts, your questions. We'll read it out loud. We'll have a conversation. And you can reach us at info@wineandwhispersclub.com.
Hey, Wispies. Thank you for joining us for another hard-hitting girl talk. If you have a topic or question for us, send us a whisper at info@wineandwhispersclub.com. That's whispers with an S. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to like and subscribe on your podcast listening platforms. See you next time, Wispies.